How do you create an effective checklist? So many times we have a large amount of information packed into a checklist, and we want our employees or ourselves to follow through every single time we have to go through this process. Unfortunately, what will happen is if it's so complicated or long that it takes more time to read the process than actually doing the task itself, we will either lay it by the side or we'll just check off each box without actually reading what it says. This is a problem if you have several people working on the same process and somebody makes a change that needs to be communicated to the rest of the team. You want to make sure that you actually get that information and it's obvious. So one of the things I found is when you have a simple workflow, so this is a sample training workflow of how to upload a blog to a WordPress site. And it goes through getting information from Trello, uploading to a website and all of that with passwords, information, usernames, etc. But the problem is how many people are actually going to follow through this process every single time they're going to upload a blog to this website. And you want to make sure that every single one of these details are still hit. I found that using Google Calendars, you can create a custom calendar. So under my calendars right here, I have my personal one with all of my meetings, and then I have an example calendar made just for this video. Under here, I have each step, sort of like a checklist, but really condensed. All the information is condensed into only what I need to know. This is more effective because you're not overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information there. You only have what you need to know and what's most important to check off for each of these tasks. I also have the links. So I have a link to the final content that's going to be uploaded to the private business blog, I have that embedded in here, so it automatically creates a hub for where people can go to find those links, and it'll make it a lot easier to follow through this process. I use bold and italic text combinations here to make sure that each thing that is highlighted, that is what you need to be aware of. For this example right here, I have upload first image as a featured header. I made a mistake when I was first uploading this and set the first image as an embedded image, which is a different thing. So I made featured header in bold so that each time I read through this list, I will see that and automatically pop out in my mind, oh, I need to know something about that. Keep in mind, this is only for projects that you've already done several times and it's starting to become second nature. This is only to make sure that you don't miss anything when you're tired or when you're not thinking straight. This is for just refreshing your memory only to what you need to know. Some things like change author. I could make this change the author, but that's too much information. At that point, it's almost longer to read that sentence than it is to change the author in the post. So I found that you just have as few words as possible. Doesn't matter if it's grammatically correct or not, just so long as you understand it and have this in the process, it'll make things run a lot smoother. I also have a link down here at the bottom for the full instructions that goes back to this entire workflow here, where if I forget some small detail, like what does change author even mean, I can go click on that link and I will be brought up to this, and then I can find out, okay, what does that change author mean and what are some of the more details that I need to be aware of when doing that. This also makes sense if you have several people work on the same project, where change author, maybe your team member is highlighting author. That means that there's something new about that you need to be aware of. So you can go to the full instructions and find why it's highlighted, and it'll have all the information there. This is only for creating a simple, very, very simple workflow that you can just quickly scan over before uploading each blog, for example. But it's not for the more intense training purposes, in which case you would want to use a video training or an in-person training so that they make sure that they can understand the process completely. This is only for final stages when you're trying to remind yourself, okay, what do I need to know? How do I get this done as fast as possible? And how do I make sure that everything is correct? I cannot afford to make any mistakes on this. So what is the minimum amount of information that my brain can read and still get the work out? And I'm thinking all this in a scenario where it's late at night, I don't feel like doing this, and my mind is not thinking straight. This is to make sure that you can quickly remove those small little bugs that you forgot to check. And this makes things a lot faster to run through than reading through every single step in this major workflow. even though this and the other information is completely necessary for every single upload.